The title of today's lecture is How to Overcome the Need to Always Be Right in Marriage. How to overcome the need to always be right in marriage. And in doing this, we're going to cover a number of categories, 14 categories over which people typically argue concerning who is right. There are at least 14 categories. And we're going to talk about each one of them and what is the best approach for dealing with them. Then we'll go into 9 examples of respectfully real communication of vulnerability in the context of being wrong. It turns out that all vulnerability is really let's put it the other way, that all negativity is the result of vulnerability. We're going to see whenever somebody's negative, if you search down far enough down, you find they were vulnerable. And that'll influence this whole topic that we're talking today in all aspects. You hear something negative, be sure there's a vulnerability that it covers. You can be sure of it. So that's a profound truth for you to keep in mind, because to the extent that you can relate to the vulnerability and not the negative cover, that'll allow you to then enter the realm of more understanding and perhaps more compassion. Then we're going to go over in part 3 the illusions and other factors and dynamics. And the reason I discuss illusions in these lectures is that I want to show us how wrong we can be about so many things, and that can help temper our arguments. Well, I could be wrong about this, maybe I can be wrong about what I'm saying to you now. And we may not get to all these categories today. I'll get us to as many as I can. Then I'm going to give you power thoughts to empower yourself to deal with overcoming this need to always be right. And we're going to end with the Nerenberg survey of the need to be right. I have a survey that will actually give you a test of how much you score, how deeply your desire to be right is. Now keep in mind a key concept here when people argue over who's right. A lot of times it's not an argument over who's right, but it's more important for some people just not to be wrong. So there's being right and there's just not being wrong. And when it comes to the dynamic of not being wrong, a very good solution is let's agree to disagree. That way nobody has to be wrong. Nobody has to finally, say, okay, I'm wrong, I screwed up. Let's agree to disagree is a good solution. And believe it or not all cultures are equally fit to do that. Americans are more likely to say, let's agree to disagree. I don't have to push what I'm saying on you. You don't have to push it. We'll agree to disagree, and I'll fight to my death to defend your right to disagree with me. And that's a very different viewpoint that we take for granted in our country. And it's a beautiful way of life that we have. And we have that possibility in a marriage to also continue that. So we're going to go into the 14 categories over which people typically argue concerning who is right. One is past event. Whose memory over a past event is correct? Now, let's look at that. An example. I gave you the keys yesterday. I remember we're sitting right here. I handed you those keys. No, you didn't give me the keys. I would remember if you gave it to me. Yeah, I did. I can remember. Exactly. It's just like I'm looking at you right now. I gave you the keys, and I asked you to please go to the car and get such and such from it. You didn't do any such thing. I never got those keys from you. What are they really arguing about? I'll tell you. It's really an argument about who's crazy. It's over who's crazy, because I remember sitting here giving this to you, and if I didn't do it, I must be losing my mind. I remember I handed it in your hand. I must be, if I'm wrong, I'm hallucinating. I'm in really serious trouble. Now, actually, the argument really shouldn't have gotten that far, because the one person made an incorrect statement. He said, no, you didn't give it to me. It's not a correct statement, behaviorally speaking. What the person should say is, I don't remember you giving it to me. That's a correct statement. That stops the argument. I don't remember you giving it to me. That's one way to temper it. And once you really look at, I have no recollection of you giving it to me, you can't argue about that. You don't remember it. I don't remember it. And the story, that can end the argument right there. But often a person, rather than saying, I don't remember, say, no, you didn't do it. And boom, boom, who's crazy here? A special case of this is arguing over whether or not a past event did ever in fact occur. Well, last year you gave this to so and so. That never happened. I thought about it, but I never gave it. No, you gave it. So there's an argument over a special case of the first past event. Did in fact anything ever really happen? Did the event occur?